Having come out of a long-term relationship in the summer of 2020, I had no clue how to meet women. Dating apps were overcrowded, nightclubs were shut, and I didn't have a social circle to lean on. And everywhere I looked, the advice was the same. If you want to attract high-quality women, you need looks, money, and status. But at the time, I had none of those things. I was just a regular guy working a regular job. But deep down, I knew I wanted something more. So I did something that most people would consider insane. I walked out into Leeds city centre on the 4th of July 2020 and in broad daylight started cold approaching women.
I don't have a fucking clue what I'm doing right now. Like, this is relatively new to me, like just going out and approaching girls.
And yeah, it was brutal. Like, hundreds of women said no. Some ignored me entirely. I spent many a night in that grotty apartment in central Leeds questioning my own sense of self-worth. But there was something inside of me which just knew if I kept going, if I stayed persistent, then I could make this work. And bro, fast forward to today and my life is unrecognizable. I've gone from lonely and insecure to confident and fulfilled. I'm in an amazing long-term relationship with a woman I adore, and I've helped hundreds of other men just like me transform their dating lives too. And in this video, I'm gonna share my exact 3-step process that I teach to regular, everyday guys. This is a process that they use to attract their dream women through daytime cold approach. Guys like Daniel, who recently attracted his dream woman at 22 years old. Guys like George, who met his girlfriend through daytime cold approach on his way home from the gym. Guys like Peter, who built a rotation of statuesque blonde bombshells. And guys like Efrem, who went from being terrified of talking to women to going on multiple dates in a single day.
I've never been in this place in my life as far as women.
And by the end of this video, you will know exactly how to do it too. 1. Immersion. In my experience, it takes 100 direct daytime cold approaches to start to develop proficiency. And by direct approach, what I mean by this is walking over to a woman who you don't know, giving her a compliment, having a basic conversation, and then going for her phone number. Now you might be thinking, okay, that sounds overwhelming. Like, how do I even start? If you want to tackle this on your own, then here's how I recommend doing it. 1. Set a target. Commit to a specific goal. 10 direct approaches every single week for the next 10 weeks, as an example. 2. Focus on simplicity. Start small. Your opener doesn't need to be perfect. A simple, hey, I just saw you and I wanted to say you look amazing, does the job. 3. Track your progress. Keep a notebook or use a notes app on your phone where you log your interactions. What went well, what didn't, and how you felt after each approach. 4. Celebrate small wins. Don't expect perfection. If you approach someone and they smile or you have a short conversation, that's a win. And look, dude, you are going to feel nervous during these first 100 approaches. That is completely normal, right? But the more you do this, the easier it gets. So the problem most guys face when trying to learn all of this stuff on their own is they take way too long to hit those first 100 approaches. They might do a couple of approaches every couple of weeks, but without anybody to guide them, without anybody to hold them accountable, then it's easy to lose momentum. And in my experience, all it takes is one awkward interaction or one undesirable outcome to completely derail them. And before they know it, they slide back to square one. This is why so many guys stay stuck with daytime cold approach. It's because they never develop the consistency to see results. So when guys work with me, we condense those 100 approaches into a single weekend. Instead of dragging it out over a span of months or years, we get it done in just a couple of days. By the end of the weekend, they've already pushed through those initial fears. They've skipped all of the trial and error. They've built their confidence and experienced tangible results. Take my client Baltus, for example. Before working together, Baltus had tried going out there and doing all of this on his own, but without any accountability, without getting any feedback, without having any support system in place, he felt as though he was banging his head against a brick wall. So he reached out to work with me in Barcelona over the summer. Within 2 days of us working together, he had annihilated his approach anxiety, started getting consistent phone numbers, and even had a full-on girlfriend experience. But whether you decide to work with me or do all of this on your own, one thing is certain: you need to immerse yourself. 2. Integration. Alright, so once you've completed those first 100 approaches and started to develop the foundations, what we now want to do is integrate these skills into our everyday lives. This is where it all starts to click. So now, rather than seeing approaching women as this make or break situation, rather than perceiving it as this massive event, you now just view it as part of your everyday normal routine, like going to the gym or brushing your teeth. Let me tell you about one of my clients, Efrem. When Efrem first came to me, he was completely stuck. Efrem was terrified of talking to women, especially in a daytime setting, and for years he'd convinced himself that he wasn't attractive, interesting, or confident enough. But Efrem was committed to making serious changes, so he flew halfway across the world to complete a one-to-one immersion with me in Warsaw, Poland.
Yo, what's going on? April 16th. Today is the day where I will be doing my first approaches. I have less than 10 minutes before I'm gonna walk down there. I've been sitting in front of this mirror here, taking deep breaths because I am absolutely nervous, but it's all right. I'm allowed to do things while nervous. Woo! I'm nervous. I'm sure the nerves are gonna kick in even more once I start walking, but I'm excited because in theory, at the end of today, I will be a different person.
And dude, no bullshit. The first day was rough. Yeah, he got rejected. He got rejected a lot. He felt out of his depth. He had conversations that didn't go his way. He fumbled over his words, but he persisted. He was relentless. He took on board all of my feedback after every approach and then implemented it into the next one. By the end of day 2, something clicked. He realized rejection wasn't the end of the world, and he could start a conversation with anyone, anywhere, anytime, and not feel guilty or bad about it. And by the end of our time together in Warsaw, Efrem went from having never done a direct cold approach his entire life to lining up multiple dates a week and even having multiple dates lined up on the same day. But what we didn't want to happen was for Efrem to have this amazing life-changing experience in Warsaw and then go back home to San Francisco and slide back into old habits. Nah, fuck that. We needed him to integrate the skill into his life so it became something he was rather than something he did. The way we achieved this is my first piece of advice to Efrem was, as soon as you touch down in America, I want you to do an approach as soon as possible. This is exactly what he did. As soon as he touched down in the airport, he approached the girl who historically the old Efrem would have just let slide. He would have made up some BS excuse in his mind, like, oh, she's too busy, she looks bitchy, she probably has a boyfriend. But he wasn't doing this approach to get the woman. He was doing this approach to integrate his newfound skill set into his lifestyle. And bro, this is why when Efrem got back to San Francisco, he was going on multiple dates a week with women who he met through daytime cold approach. And he even started his own cold approach YouTube channel. Integration is what takes you from someone who tries desperately hard to attract women to becoming the sort of guy who can get dates on autopilot. Now let's say you're trying to do all this on your own, right? Let's say you've done 100 direct approaches, now you're starting to develop proficiency, and let's say you're now ready to integrate this skill into your life. How do you actually do that? Once you've done those first 100 approaches, every time before you leave the house, you set a clear, actionable intention. You say this to yourself, like literally say this to yourself out loud before you leave the house. When I see a woman who I find attractive, I will approach her. Without setting the intention, you risk seeing somebody who you want to talk to, but freezing up because you weren't ready for it. Imagine it's a Monday morning, and imagine you hit snooze twice, you roll out of bed, you pick up whatever clothes are closest to your closet, you swan out the door, and out of nowhere, you just see sexy Susie stood across the road waiting for a bus. If you haven't set the intention, you'll probably do nothing. You'll come up with some convenient excuse like, oh, I'm not ready, or oh, I'm in a rush, I'm late for work. And just like that, the opportunity's gone. Sexy Susie gets on the bus, she goes to Croydon, and you're left with your dick in your hands thinking, she could have been the one. But if you've made a habit out of setting that intention, so remember, when I see a woman who I find attractive, I will approach her, then you've already prepared your mind for moments like this, and instead of freezing, you'll take action. 3. Selection. Now that you've done your immersion and successfully integrated this skill into your everyday life, the final stage is making the right choice. It's no longer about can you attract women. It's now about selecting the woman who truly aligns with your vision and goals. Once you've mastered approaching and you're starting going on dates with women who you once would have considered as out of your league, it's easy to jump into the first relationship that comes your way. But dude, the truth is, not all women are right for you. And this step is about consciously choosing the right partner, not from a place of scarcity, but from a place of abundance. If you're doing this all on your own, then here's how to make sure you're selecting the right woman. 1. Define your values and goals. Before you even start dating seriously, take some time to figure out what's important to you. What do you value in a partner? What are your long-term goals? Write these down and remind yourself of them daily. 2. Pay attention to behavior, not just looks. Attraction is important, but it's not everything. Is she kind, supportive, and aligned with your values? Does she respect your time and goals? These things matter more than surface level attraction. 3. Don't rush into commitment. Take your time, date multiple women if needed to see who truly complements your lifestyle. Scarcity will push you to settle. Abundance allows you to choose. 4. Ask yourself the big question. Is this someone who makes you feel better about yourself and your life? Or are you just afraid of being alone? Answering honestly will save you years of wasted time. The biggest mistake most guys make when it comes to relationships, and this is coming from somebody who's made this mistake more than once, is they choose out of scarcity. They're so happy that for the first time in a long time, they've actually found somebody who's interested in them, and this can easily cause them to jump into a relationship with somebody who doesn't truly align with their values. But when you've done the work in steps 1 and 2, you can make a decision from a place of abundance. You can choose this woman because you want her rather than you just want someone. Now bro, let me tell you about another one of my clients, Jason. At the time of us working together, Jason was a 33-year-old business owner and father of 2. When Jason first reached out to work with me, he was at rock bottom. Yeah, he'd just come out of a 10-year long-term relationship, and coming out of this relationship, he realized the dating landscape had changed significantly. On top of this, he was carrying the weight of responsibility of not only being a business owner, but also being a full-time dad. And he questioned whether or not he would actually have the time or the energy to meet somebody new. I remember the very first call that I had with Jason, and he was very transparent about his situation. He said to me, listen, I'm lonely and I don't know what I'm doing. And I know how long this is going to take me to figure all of this out on my own. And even if I do try and do all this on my own, there's no guarantee I'm going to get the results that I want, and I risk getting burnt out. But when Jason started working with me, his goal was clear, okay? He didn't just want any woman. He wanted a woman who complemented his busy lifestyle, a woman who he could introduce to his children, and a woman who could bring peace and joy rather than unnecessary drama into his life. So we started our immersion weekend, and during our time together, Jason had approached more women over a couple of days than he had in his entire life. He learned how to overcome his nerves, start natural conversations, and begin to make authentic connections with women he was genuinely attracted to. Then came the integration part. So once we'd completed our immersion, I was in his corner to hold him accountable. I also introduced him to a network of like-minded guys in London. And dude, Jason was hitting it hard. He was going out with the guys I introduced him to religiously every Saturday. He was approaching in his hometown as well. Like every opportunity that he had, he was relentless, very similar to Efrem and the other guys I work with. He just had this focus. Yeah, he knew what he wanted. He knew he wanted to have a wife-worthy woman who would complement his busy lifestyle. And the beautiful thing about this, just as a little aside, is you only need one. Yeah? You only need one woman to think you are amazingly awesome to have a fulfilling dating life. Like, what I found with the guys who I work with, when we strip back all the bullshit, most guys just want to be wanted, right? Most guys just want to have a best friend who they can have sex with. That's what they're really looking for. And all this red pill BS dogma that's getting spouted online, oh, sleep with as many women as possible. To be a high value man, you need to get your notch count up. And it's like, most guys don't actually want that. And if you're real with yourself, and this is what this stage is about, like the selection phase, it's what do you want? Not what you've been brainwashed by the brain dead into thinking you should want to want. What do you want? Yeah, and once you know what you want, you can then make your actions align with your ambitions. Because bro, just after a couple of months, Jason's dating life was thriving. Yeah, he was going on multiple dates a week with women he would have once labeled as out of his league, but because he knew what he wanted, he knew he wasn't trying to date casually forever. It was now up to him to decide on the right partner, not from a place of scarcity, but from a place of abundance. And I told him to ask himself the following questions when it came to selecting his partner. Does this woman bring peace into your life, or does she add drama? Can she handle the demands of your lifestyle as a business owner and father? Does she align with your values and long-term goals? Fast forward to today, and Jason is now in a fulfilling long-term relationship with a 27-year-old absolute beauty. This was a woman who he daytime cold approached. I remember catching up with Jason in Milan last year. We were sitting at a coffee shop, and dude, he just said to me, yeah man, I found her. Like, she ticks all the boxes. She brings peace and joy into my life. She's helping with the kids. Like, with her in my life, I can focus more on my business. I think this is an important point as well. I think during this selection phase, once you've found that woman, the one that ticks all your boxes, if you're a busy guy, then you don't have the time to be chasing skirt every single weekend. Yeah, once you've found your woman, that's gonna free up so much mental bandwidth that you can then allocate into those high leverage tasks like running a business. So dude, this is the proven 3-step system that I take all my private one-to-one coaching clients through. If you would like my help, like my personal help, me and you out there in a city, working with you one-to-one, taking you through the entire process, and there's a link below this video. Click it, you can apply to work with me. I'll speak to you boys in the next one.